Am I an Eagle? Bob Frank in the postgame starts right now.
Bert, thank you. Great to have you with us on the post-game show as the Nets go to Atlanta and win their third in a row. Overtime, chipping the rock a little extra, Frank, 132 to 128 as they kind of stretched things out. It was a good, highly contested fight in the fourth quarter, but the Nets kind of pulled away in the extra period.
Really good way to start the road trip now, getting that first game out of the way. Now you go to Oklahoma City where Kevin Durant and James Harden, very familiar there. You know, all three guys, the big three, all had very good offensive games. But for me, Jeff Green in this game did so well. They play small. He's good defensively, had 3 dunks, 5 points in overtime. Jeff Green, a little subtle thing that Steve Nash has done by playing small. Jeff Green was a huge factor in this game.
We talked, there's got to find a way to slow down the Hawks. They're very good. Joe Harris had a big impact late. Let's take a look at what happened in that fourth quarter late between the two teams and then overtime. And we'll start right here with Kyrie in control of the ball.
Yeah, and Kyrie, this is a tough shot in the lane to tie it up with 2 minutes to go. But the Hawks weren't going anywhere. And I'll tell you what, Cam Reddish, even though he misses there, Jeff Green gets the rebound. And here's Harden out to Jeff Green. That's a layup that he had. Jeff Green had 3 dunks in this game, including that one that he had in overtime.
So we talk about impact. He only had 6 points, but he impacted the game in a variety of ways. Cam Reddish with the 20 points. He was looking very good. Coming off the bench, played about 30 minutes. And then nice step back here by James Harden.
You know what? I wasn't crazy about this final play for the Nets. For me, Kevin Durant has got to touch that ball. Even if it goes back to James Harden, Kevin Durant has to touch the ball in that final possession.
All right, so then you go to overtime. The Nets come out, and this is a good play here and a steal by Joe Harris.
Yeah, Joe Harris, who didn't make a 3 first time, 79 games. He did really well, made a couple of big defensive plays, and then it's just the big 3 taking over. Even though Kevin Durant misses the shot here, back out to Kyrie Irving, and there's Kyrie, the little teardrop in the lane.
All right, so the Nets are up by 1, and then it's James Harden again in control of the ball and a nice kick out.
Yeah, and there's Jeff Green, open all night. The Atlanta Hawks were making sure that Joe Harris wouldn't get any 3s. Green was open all night, and then here's Kevin Durant running the floor, the little shovel pass from Kyrie Irving to essentially seal the game.
Durant ending with 32 on the night, a miss there by the Hawks, and a good fight by Joe Harris right here.
Again, the 50-50 balls. Nets win it. There's Joe Harris pumping his fist a little bit.
All right, final chance. Now Durant does have the ball, and he just takes it right to the rack.
Yeah, and how many times did we see him do this tonight? He's just so tough to guard. And that's the thing about the Nets. When they get in these situations, and you're going to see it come postseason, they're so good offensively because they have so many different weapons. That's why in that last play of regulation, I have no problem with James Harden taking the final shot. I just think the ball needs to get to Kevin Durant at some point, as opposed to everybody just standing around. Let one of the best players in the league, maybe the second best behind LeBron, let him touch the ball.
All right, so let's take a look at the numbers for James Harden on the night as he ends up with 31 points, 9 of 20 from the field. Again, more aggressive with the ball in his hands, 8 rebounds and 15 assists. And just moments ago, Michael Grady caught up with him.
James, this is a feisty, chippy Atlanta team. What did it take to hold them off down the stretch?
Just great effort. Especially Joe did an unbelievable job of, fighting Trae Young, forcing them to speed up a little bit more than usual. They got comfortable, for the first 3 quarters, first 3.5 quarters. And then, we kind of put the pressure up defensively. But it got to be like that from the beginning of the game for us. And, it'll be a lot easier for us.
You can talk about the big 3, but I want to ask you pointed out Joe Harris. I want to ask you about some of the other guys. TLC, Bruce Brown had quality minutes. Jeff Green was dunking on everybody. How important is supporting Taz?
Very important. If we want to get to where we want to go, and that's be playing at the end, we're going to need help from top to bottom. And those guys did an unbelievable job of coming in and contributing, whatever it was. If it was defense, if it was knocking down shots. Bruce was a screener tonight, setting pick and rolls and rolling to the basket and finishing. So every night is going to be different, but as long as we get the win, that's all that matters.
Your teammates have been praising your passing, but also encouraging you to be aggressive and be you. You had 15 assists to go along with 31 points. Describe the groove you were able to get into tonight.
Just being aggressive from the beginning of the game, whether it's getting, get to the rim, creating my shot, or, creating opportunities for my teammates. And we, have more than enough confidence in them knocking it down. So great win for us. Now we got to just keep going.
Enjoy the win. We'll see you Friday.
Thank you.
Harden and Grady bringing up the word aggressive. We saw that in the fourth quarter against Miami. It looked like he continued that tonight.
Key part of this game, the Nets start the fourth quarter down 4 points. Kevin Durant Kyrie Irving on the bench. It's James Harden and Joe Harris with 3 bench players, Jeff Green, TLC, and Bruce Brown. The first 6 minutes of that quarter, with James Harden running the show, they outscored Atlanta 18-10. I thought that was huge. To me, that was the best stretch for James Harden in the game because they needed him to run the offense, get guys involved. Bruce Brown on both ends of the court was very good. That was such a key moment in this game. That 6-minute block where you're giving Kevin Durant rest, Kyrie Irving rest, and then they were able to play the end of the fourth and overtime. Because if you go back to the Cleveland game, Bob, when they played a double overtime game, those Nets were run down. They had played a lot of minutes. That 6 minutes, led by Harden at the start of the fourth quarter, was big.
All right, so you talked about Jeff Green already, the way he impacted the game. Talk more about that. Like, does he see this as a golden opportunity for him?
Well, absolutely. We've got to remember, too, he came into the league playing with Kevin Durant in Seattle and then Oklahoma City. Look at this. I mean, that is Georgetown, Jeff Green. I didn't think he could do it. And then he does it one more time just to prove that it wasn't a fluke. I thought he was really good. Look at this. Defender comes over, but Jeff Green still has a bounce in his step. And here, says the heck with it. I don't need to dunk. I'll just lay it in. It's overtime. And then here, running the floor one more time. Not as impressive as the other 2 dunks. But he was so good in this game. And this, for me, really is the one that kind of sealed it.
Do you think when he sees the opportunity with Harden sticking around outside, maybe Kevin Durant out on the wing, that I need to go inside, I need to take that chance, they're not expecting me to make a move to the hoop?
Well, and that's the thing. I think both he and Joe Harris, defenders are trying to prevent them from shooting the 3. That's why the opportunity to put the ball on the floor is always going to be there. But that's the sacrifice the Nets are going to make when they play small. They're going to give up something. And Clint Capella beat them up a little bit early in that fourth quarter. But Jeff Green, when he's out there, he spreads the court. And when you have shooting around Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden, you're going to be a dangerous offensive team.
We talked on the pregame about the fact that the Nets won on December 31st at Barclays. The Hawks came back 2 nights later, beat them. So now the season series swings back to the Nets with this road win. And you look at the points scored. There's no absence of offense in this one, and points in the paint either. We're going to take our first break. We got a lot more coming up. More from Frank and I in the studio points, but let's dig into his performance because if he wants to hit that outside shot, he can, but he can be so quick to the hoop.
And it really seemed like tonight, Bob, he was really getting into the lane. Here, secondary break, he pulls up, he hits the long 3. But there were so many times where he was just doing this, just going to the basket. There was no one on Atlanta that could stop him. Here there's another one with a beautiful, beautiful finger roll.
I think he catches defenses napping sometimes when he gets that ball outside and he just makes a quick move to the hoop.
And I just love here again running the court. But I love the one where he just dribbles to his left, stops on a dime in the paint, pulls up, and by the time he shoots the shot, how are you going to block that? How can you defend that? And just again, you look at the end of the game, and the guy's got 31 points, 5 of which
13 of 26 from the field, coming off a game 2 nights ago in which we said, well, he only had 20, he didn't shoot that well from the field. That's Kevin Durant. He just turns it around on a dime, sees what he can see from a defense, and takes advantage of it.
And this will be a fun trip for him because remember now, you're going to Oklahoma City. That's where he was an MVP. He led them to the finals. And then on Sunday, you get Washington, right where he grew up. So this is going to be a fun trip for Kevin Durant. Great way to start it with a win and 32 points.
All right, so I want to get back to Joe Harris because you mentioned the streak of 3-pointers broken. Only had 3 looks he liked, so that streak snapped at 79 games, but impacting it in a variety of ways to the point where James Harden talked about it postgame.
Well, I give Atlanta a lot of credit. When you watch the way that they played, they always knew where Joe Harris was. They did not give him any open looks. The one stat that's not up there, with Joe Harris on the court, I got to look how many minutes he played, 39 minutes. They were a plus 18 when Joe Harris was in the game. So he was making a big impact, even though he didn't knock down a single 3-point shot.
Boy, that's a great point. Huge impact in the game. So did a variety of other Nets as they get the win. Let's hear from Coach Steve Nash postgame.
Coach, what did it take down the stretch, fourth quarter, and then, of course, going into overtime to hold this Atlanta team off?
We just gutted it out. It was just fine margins, made enough baskets, made enough hustle plays, enough rebounds, just to get us over the line. So it wasn't pretty, but we found a way, and we'll take it.
With James, he was much more aggressive with 20 field goal attempts. Is this something that you continue to talk to him about? Obviously, he's been in facilitator mode in these first few games with the big 3 together. But how much have you guys been encouraging him to be aggressive and look for his?
Yeah, I think encouraging is the word. I don't want to force him. He knows what he's doing, and he knows where his body's at and where this process of assimilating to a new group is. So we want him to be aggressive, but we're going to give him his head and let him decide how he plays. But we definitely love it when he's aggressive, and there's some tough matchups out there for him. And he got going at an important time, and we found a way to get it done somehow.
Blake Andrews, ESPN.
Steve, I think this is the third game consecutively you've had the same starters, and you guys haven't started the same group more than 4 times consecutively this season. Do you feel like you're starting to get towards a groove where this may be the core that you want to move forward with for your starters and then start to figure out that bench rotation?
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, I'm hesitant to say that just because tomorrow it'll be something else. It'll be a COVID protocol or, something will happen and we'll be back to mixing it up. But I think we have to stay flexible and stay ready at the same time. I like where we're going with it. By no means are we set on this, but right now it feels pretty good.
Christian Winfield, New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach, you guys had 23 points, 23 fast break points tonight, including one play in overtime. I think Joe gets that strip, and then the ball gets to James, gets right up court to Jeff for the dunk. Is that part of the reason why you guys want to really hammer down on this defense? Obviously, yes, you want to stop guys from scoring, but does it unlock another layer for you guys to get out in transition, get some easy buckets?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you do get stops, you have an opportunity to go against a more unsettled defense, in whether it's transition or semi-transition. So, I mean, there's many reasons why defending well is a positive, but that is one small one for me. Frankly, I think we'll figure out ways to score. It's more about getting stops, and we don't turn the ball, we don't turn other teams over a ton, but if we can just get stops and rebound, we've been rebounding better. We'll be in good shape.
Ryan Lewis, New York Post.
Hi, Steve. When you talk about James's aggression level and you trust him to make the correct decisions, I'm curious if you've noted his conditioning as we've gone make dramatic improvements, or is this just a matter of him getting in better chemistry and in better sync with his teammates late in games?
I think both. I think he's getting comfortable just with his surroundings, but he's definitely getting in better shape. So, that's it's important, and he's just going to get better the more comfortable he gets and the better shape he gets. So, tonight's any indication, he's going to, have a huge influence on our team and make other players better.
Alex Schiffer, The Athletic.
Hey, Steve, you had 32 from Kevin tonight, and this marked his 15th game. You've said before how, when gauging where he's at, you'd like to see him get 15 to 20 games before really going there. Just as he approaches this benchmark or is at it, depending upon how you want to look at it, how do you kind of adjust, gauging where he's at, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's played great offensively. I think he's still trying to get comfortable, though. That's how good he is. That, he's just a walking bucket. He's just out there on the floor, and he can fall into baskets just with his talent, skill, and length, athleticism. So he looks great. He's moving great. He's scoring the ball well. I think he still, though, has layers to go just to continue to feel more comfortable defensively, rebounding, rounding out his game, all the things that he's been able to do outside of scoring, and that confidence. I think for him, just feeling comfortable playing basketball again after such a long layoff takes time. No matter how good he is, how many points he scores, how many 30-point games in a row he has, I think he's still trying to feel it himself, and that takes time. You can't just not play for 18 months, have a short camp, start playing and feel it, in the first 10, 15 games. It might take another 10, 15 games. So he's been remarkable because all those, with all those parameters and things I've just mentioned, but I still think he's going to continue to feel more comfortable, more confident, and round out his game.
Bruce Beck, NBC New York.
Steve, you always say it's a team. It's not just the big three. You went small. Jeff Green was important. How impactful was he?
Well, he's been great for us this year. He's made some big shots. He's obviously finished tonight down the lane and down the stretch. He gives us versatility defensively. He's mature as a human being, so he's calm and he's able to influence the team in a positive way. And he has experience, so we can change coverages on the fly with him, and he can quarterback that. So, while he might not be the first name that jumps out on our team. I think he does fill a really important role for us in a lot of diverse ways.
Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com.
Hey, Steve, for most of the night, not a great night for the second unit, but then down the stretch, obviously, like they just said, Jeff Green, but also Bruce Brown in the fourth. How significant was that for you, the way he kind of came through?
It was great. I mean, Bruce was huge. I thought everyone who played contributed at different times, and Bruce made some great plays. He kind of played the center, picking and rolling, and not allowing them to muck off him as a shooter. We put him in the pick and roll, and he I thought did a great job of getting down the lane, finishing, keeping the floor space, enabling us to get the right matchup in the pick and roll. And so, but his energy, his defense, his rebounding was huge. And Jeff obviously had a great night as well. And the second unit held it down for a while where we could steal a few minutes for Kevin and Kai.
Chris Kirshner, The Athletic.
What have you thought of the job Lloyd has done with his group so far this season?
I really admire what Lloyd's doing. I mean, this is a tough matchup for us. They stretch you out, they space the floor, they put the ball in players' hands, gives them freedom of structure, and it's very difficult to guard. They have a little bit of diversity in their offense too, and and then they play hard. They got length. So Lloyd's a great young coach, only getting better, and the Hawks are really lucky to have him.
Thanks for your time, Coach.
Okay, thanks everybody. Good night.
So Nash and the Nets getting an overtime win in Atlanta. Good start to this road trip with 2 more games ahead.
Yeah, now you think about the big three. This is a 3-game winning streak with this group. And combined 89 points, 24 assists, 17 rebounds, which isn't really a lot. But to be fair, there weren't a lot of missed shots in this game. So there weren't that many rebounds. They continue to be productive. And I understand the minutes police are going to get upset because everyone was over 40 minutes tonight. But remember, they do have a day off tomorrow before they get that game on Friday.
All right, we're going to take another break here on the postgame. Frank and I have a lot more coming up. More from the studio about the Nets getting this win, 132-128 in overtime. And we're going to hear from Ian Eagle and Syracuse talk about it coming up right after this.
So, what should we do today?
Should we just go see a movie?
Yes.
I'm always up for a good movie.
Go Rogue in the all-new fiercely reimagined Nissan Rogue. Get a low $219 per month lease or get 0% financing for 36 months on the 2021 Nissan Rogue.
I'm David Collado. I chose the Spark Cash Card from Capital One because I earn unlimited 2% cash back on everything I buy. Last year, I redeemed $21,000 in cash back, which I used for new equipment to expand production. What's in your wallet?
You never know what winter has in store. Ford SUVs help keep you prepared. Chilly mornings, you've got remote start. Slick roads, you've got confident control. Snowy terrain, shift drive modes on the fly. Whatever the forecast brings, Ford SUVs are built for weather. Lease the winter-ready Ford Explorer XLT now for $259 a month with eligible trade-in. View more offers at buyfordnow.com.
Winter is here, temperatures are dropping, and AJ Perry Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is ready to help. When you call AJ Perry for your new high-efficiency heating and cooling system, you can save up to $2,000 with recycling and utility rebates. This is a limited-time offer, so call today to set up your free estimate on a new heating and cooling system. AJ Perry Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Call today or visit us at ajperry.com.
And that, my friend, is why
I love those guys. When nacho fries go off the menu, you can't escape the craving.
you don't consume me. I consume you.
Nacho fries.
I think I'm built to be a champion.
James Harden, welcome to Brooklyn.
Do you want to be a champion? I think I'm built to be a champion. Oh, this is insane.
This is our home. This is our home.
Nets go into Atlanta and tag the Hawks with a 132-128 overtime win. Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving combining for 89 points in this one. Trae Young held to 28, coming off a 38-point performance last night. For more on the Nets win, let's get it to Ian Eagle and Sarah Kustok.
Bob, a fun one in Atlanta tonight. This is a team that has given the Nets some fits, and Steve Nash, prior to the game, recognized that it's not a great matchup for Brooklyn. Their size, their scoring ability, their length, and it came down to the wire. Forced overtime, Hawks continued to attack the rim, but the Nets' big three, again, too much for Atlanta to handle. This is going to be an issue for a lot of teams around the NBA. Can you go out and just outscore the Nets? That's what most teams are going to have to face, that question, whether or not you can actually pull it off against the kind of talent that Brooklyn brings.
What has been nice to see additionally in these wins for the Nets is when it matters in closing time, they're also getting just enough stops to be able to pull out these victories. And for as much as we can applaud what we see on the offensive end, which there is a lot to gush about, not just in terms of the big three, but also so many of the complementary players, whether it's Joe Harris, Jeff Green, additional guys making important, timely plays. But defensively, they seem to be coming together more in terms of their communication, their rotations, and an understanding in the effort and the willingness to make those second effort plays. And I think overall, too, when you look at Atlanta, just a tough matchup with the size, the length, athleticism. They've got playmakers, they've got shooters, they've got a little bit of everything on that side of the ball. The Nets did a good job rebounding, and I think that's been one of their Achilles heels throughout this season, is giving up second chance opportunities. Atlanta comes in second rebounding team in the league, third in terms of offensive rebounds and second chance points, and the Nets did a really nice job throughout the course of the game, taking care of the basketball. Some of the areas that are of concern, they're starting to improve on.
No doubt. We're going to keep an eye on minutes throughout the season and how Steve Nash monitors that with the big three. We were curious if anybody would step forward on the bench. At halftime, the bench had done very little. Second half, fourth quarter in particular, Jeff Green, Bruce Brown, both of them made impactful plays that did play a role in the fact that the Nets won this game. Not just the big three, but Brown and Green playing a large role.
And the plays that jump out are the highlight dunks by Jeff Green. But how about a big timely three-pointer that he knocks down the stretch to help give a little bit of breathing room? Bruce Brown on the offensive end, despite the fact that so much of the reason he's on the floor comes with his defensive prowess and presence, he's just very comfortable finding places on the floor to give an availability to pass for his teammates. And he's knocking down those shots around the rim, the 10, 15-foot of him. So for that reason, really important. Also, I think in this game, this was the first time we really saw James Harden be aggressive early on and throughout. And there was a nice balance between Harden, Irving, and Durant and when they were looking to shoot, when they were sharing the basketball. And you saw that trickle into the entire roster in the lineup.
So the Nets get some revenge here against the Hawks. Atlanta won the last meeting between these two teams, and then they'll face a similar situation. Oklahoma City is coming up on the schedule. Last time they played, it was the Thunder that surprised the Nets with a win here in Brooklyn. Looking forward to it as we send it back to you, Bob, Frank.
Hi, and Sarah, thank you. Your stat of the night, the big three combining, as I mentioned, for 89 points, 25-plus points by three different Nets. First time, Frank, that's happened in 6 years.
And I think to Sarah's point, this happened tonight because James Harden was aggressive early. You know, he made 5 of 9 three-pointers. And also Kyrie Irving, 11 of 17, so only missed 6 shots. He only attempted 3 three-pointers. Kyrie Irving is doing a very good job also attacking the basket. That seemed to be how a lot of guys got their offense tonight. They do not have a shot blocker there on Atlanta, and the Nets had no problem getting to the basket.
Yeah, Harden, if he gets involved, going to make it tough for everybody around the league. We're going to take another break. Frank and I have a lot more coming up as the Nets win at 132-128 in overtime. Stick around.
You guys in transition, is that another reason why you guys need to shore up the defensive end? Because when you can create those turnovers, you have so many mismatches when you get out and run.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we definitely played to our strengths tonight with having, that capability to be able to space out the floor with, everybody, whether it's Kevin going one-on-one, whether it's me going one-on-one, whether it's James or, anybody else that's out there. We want to give each other space to thrive. And, sometimes giving each other space doesn't mean just standing around waiting for the ball either. It just means being active and giving, your teammate the best opportunity to make a play. And I just try to put myself in position all the time, and then also put my teammates in position with my voice, just positioning.
Greg Logan, Newsday.
Kyrie, you and Kevin got a little blow at the start of the fourth quarter, and the bench, which only had 4 points up to that point, came alive in that 16-4 run. How big was that to helping you guys, get through the fourth quarter the way you did?
Yeah, no, it's a total team effort out there. We're only as great as, we all come out and execute. So, to see, a lot of our guys come off the bench and give us a lot of much needed energy, sustained the lead and even took the lead at a certain point throughout the game. So just give them credit, and I'm grateful to have teammates like that come in and just leave it all on the line, because this is a good Hawks team. We could have folded at any point throughout this game, and our bench definitely in the fourth quarter had that mindset to be aggressive and stay in the fight.
Blake Andrews, ESPN.
Hi, Kyrie. Steve has said that the high 30s, low 40 minutes isn't ideal. It's not where he wants to end up for you and Kevin and James. What do you want to see kind of work out with other players on this team? You guys have talked a lot about your depth to make it so that maybe you guys aren't taking so much of that brunt and playing so many minutes.
Yeah, I think Steve's just trying to find a happy balance. Obviously we have experience in terms of years in the league, but I'm heading into the prime of my career. Sometimes I tell Steve, like, hey man, like just let me go out there and just let me loose. And like I said, we just find a happy balance of being very communicative with each other and just being upfront and just following the game plan that we all agree to before we go out there. And it's easy to play your role when guys are just out there just playing, matching your level, which makes it easier to go on the bench. I'm happy to be out there getting the rest sometimes, and I've struggled in my career just wanting to be out there logging long minutes. And early on in my career, I had some injuries where I was just like, man, this is too much. And now being with guys that in this present time that are able to keep the lead, sustain it, and do what they do out there, great, let them rock.
Brian Lewis, New York Post.
Hey, Kyrie, I'm curious with regards to James and him getting more aggressive as this is going on. And you talked yourself about defensively, the way you guys are coming together. Does that all kind of come down to trust in the end? I mean, that you would trust, that he trusts that nobody's going to get, I don't know, jealous if he's aggressive, or that if you guys are playing defense, you have to trust somebody to help the helper. Mm-hmm. I mean, doesn't that all come down to communal trust that you guys are building as you're going?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I think that's a great foundation is trust to build any great team. That definitely takes a lot of patience. And then also we have to do it with sacrifice and a compromise as well. I'm not compromising anything by, what people would say, allowing James to be James. James is going to be James. My thing is, whenever I'm out there, is to compliment him. And the same thing with Kevin and everyone else is just we want to compliment each other well. So envy and jealousy, as young men, definitely emotions are things that you could get caught up in. But at this point, we don't want to take this for granted. We know this doesn't happen often. Very lucky, very grateful to be playing with guys that that have this much experience and are all world players. And I could get blue in the face saying that. So we just take it one day at a time, bro. One day at a time. Really, we're human. So there's going to be days where, things go right and things don't.
Last question, Bruce Beck, NBC New York.
Kyrie, following up on that a little bit, you really attacked tonight, the teardrop in overtime, the shovel pass to KD. Is there more opportunity to be aggressive with defenses having to worry about two other talented scorers?
Very great observation, brother. I mean, it only raises my level because there's space. There's definitely the understanding of where we all want to attack the defense and who specifically on the other team we want to attack. You know, the end of basketball games in the NBA usually end with pick and roll and end with ISO basketball going against the weakest defender. And we just got to be able to play on both ends with that same effort, and we'll be okay. So, you know, let's wait and see what the next 10 games hold for us. And like I mentioned before, just taking it one day at a time.
Well, Frank, a lot of talk there about the shooters being aggressive, the big three. They're obviously, we know they're great players. They're clutch. Be interesting to see, because even though they scored 89 combined tonight, that they probably haven't clicked on all cylinders yet, how that manifests itself, because they can't all three shoot. But then you look at a guy like Harden tonight, they got to kind of pick their spots.
Yeah, but I think Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving had no problem once James Harden joined the team and the three of them were playing together. I think it was more of a James Harden issue. The fact that he was deferring way too much. And you could tell early on, it was really the first game with the three of them that he was aggressive in the first half, and that carried over. And Kyrie talked about that fourth quarter. That was huge. Yes, there were three backups on the floor at that time, Joe Harris, but James Harden was running the show. That 18-10 run with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving on the bench was huge. And I do like Kyrie. You know, when the pandemic started and people were trying to figure out Zoom, he's like a 70-year-old father out there leaning over, doesn't really know, like, to look straight ahead, but he figured it out at the end. Not bad.
Now look straight ahead or look off to the side. Like, what are you looking at? The camera's right here.
Exactly.
As part of a packed schedule around the NBA tonight, the Lakers return to action after being off yesterday on the one-year anniversary of the death of Kobe Bryant. The final game the Lakers played before his passing was a road game against the Sixers, and that also was the matchup tonight. So a pregame ceremony in Philly, his hometown area. Yesterday, the one-year anniversary of his passing, as well as his daughter, Gianna. First quarter action as we get to the game action. Joel Embiid blocking LeBron on one end. Other end, it's Danny Green with a three against his former team. 18-2 run for Philly.
Babylon, Long Island, my hometown.
There you go. Got to sneak that in. Lakers come roaring back, though. LeBron's going to flip it in. The foul on Ben Simmons, so L.A. cutting it to 4 at the break. More coming up from Embiid in the third quarter.
Embiid, who's been as good as any player in the NBA, he can even knock it down from out there. Embiid's been outstanding.
28 in a game. Lakers down 12 in the fourth, but they come roaring back. Final third, 20 seconds. LeBron to Davis, a 13-0 run to take the lead. Give us a big finish with the Sixers and Tobias Harris.
Well, Tobias Harris, I did mention Long Island, didn't I?
Yes.
Well, Tobias Harris, who's got a big contract from Dix Hills, drives on Alex Caruso, and there you go. By the way, Lakers had won 10 in a row. They started the season 10-0 on the road.
Yep. First loss, and you look at this as the best records in each conference so far. What a great game. Everything that's good comes out of Long Island. Is that kind of the theme of
No, but Tobias Harris and Danny Green are pretty good. And Ben Simmons, everyone knocks Ben Simmons because he doesn't knock down three-point shots. Had a triple-double tonight. Ben Simmons is a good player. He's a 6'10", strong guy, can get guys involved, play different positions. I get it. Not a great three-point shooter, but he's a very good player.
All right, exciting game in Philly. They get the win over the Lakers. We're going to take another break, get it back to the Nets. When we come back, an overtime win in Atlanta. And, of course, they're off to Oklahoma City. We'll talk about that and more coming up.